For entrepreneurs, getting a valuation done or doing an exit readiness assessment usually seems like the last thing on the priority list. But doing it earlier, getting that insight well ahead of any intention to sell or raise capital, that can be the difference between success and failure. The sooner you understand the value drivers in your business, the sooner you can focus on them and plan accordingly. And for those who have entrepreneurs as clients, whether you're an exit planner, financial advisor, accounting firm, or attorney, giving your clients access to our expertise alongside yours will create a better outcome. Visit bizvalglobal.com for more.
Welcome to the latest episode of the bizval podcast. Today is the first time we're doing the podcast with cameras on live in studio, as opposed to the traditional cameras off podcast. And perhaps it's apt. Today we have someone who makes a living out of making people look good in front of the camera. None other than dentist to the stars, Eben van Walt. Now, in case anyone's wondering what a dentist is doing on a business podcast, well, Eben is not just your ordinary dentist. In fact, Eben, you're a dentist with an entrepreneurial flair and entrepreneurial blood. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and some of the plans you've got to transform the dentistry space. So, Eben, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Wow, thank you, Graham. That's a very good rendition. I appreciate the good words you're saying about me. I love dentistry, number one. But yes, you're right. I've always been interested in business, how that works, and seeing opportunities where they are. Of course, always trying to benefit patients, dental patients, because that's what I've been called for.
Absolutely. So, Eben, I'm sure, those of you listening in the UK, you can gather by the South African accent that Eben is South African by birth. But essentially, you've been in the UK for the past almost 25 years now, and you've built a life in Southwest London. Can you tell us a little bit about why you went into dentistry in the first place? And how you ended up building one of the most successful dental practices in the United Kingdom, Portmore Dental Practice, based in Surrey. So tell us a bit about the journey and why you went into dentistry.
Yes, well, thanks. Yes, I mean, this is not going to take hours because I can speak about the whole journey for hours, but it began, straight after university. I was in Stellenbosch University down the road doing dentistry, and when I finished, I wanted to see the world, and it was the easiest way to start the journey was to go to the UK. I had some student debt, and the pound was strong, and I said, okay, let's go to the UK and start paying off that debt. But before you wipe your eyes out, you've got a wife and kids. And,
did you meet her there, or did you meet her? Yeah,
no,
that's a big question.
No, we met at Stellenbosch University, and we first had a 2-year plan, and then a 5-year plan, and every 5 years we check it out again. But it's been amazing. I mean, I immediately saw that there are quite a lot of opportunities similar to what there is now to build dentistry in the UK. There's a lot to be done, and it's been a very good journey for me. We made a lot of good friends out there, in and out of the business. So as much as I love South Africa, there's still my business is not done yet in the UK, and so we go on.
Absolutely. So, I know you're very commercially minded, and often when you talk to people in the healthcare space, you're a doctor or you're a dentist or you're a neurosurgeon. But, how has having that sort of commercial mindset, how has it helped you build a practice, particularly in the UK where most people think of healthcare being delivered by the NHS? How's that sort of commercial mindset helped you in building out Portmore?
Yes, the thing is, the NHS actually helped me at that time because I started working on the NHS and I immediately saw that the options for the patients was quite limited. So if you commercially minded and patients only know what they know, then if you can give them a wide variety of options, there's so much more commercial driven lines you can go down, and doing best for the patient.
Yeah,
because the patient will only pay for something that they really need or want. And that has helped me. The NHS was a bit more restricted. You're only allowed to do a few certain things, but there were a big market pool for more and better dentistry. And that is how we built practice.
Fantastic. You know, I mean, as you say, you built a practice. But maybe it's the wrong way of saying it. You know, healthcare, as you say, is about, you know, following a process and needing healthcare. But what you've done is you've actually put the client at the center. And that's obviously been what's made you successful. So much of that, you know, that you did that so well that a few years ago you were approached by a private equity, you know, business essentially in the dentistry arena, and you put a deal together there. Can you share a little bit about, you know, what that deal process was, how you got approached, and what that meant for, you know, your practice at the time?
Yes. And for the again, at that time, it was in private dentistry. It was pretty new, and private dentists in the UK are used to have autonomy over their practices. They know how they want to build it. They want to have the freedom. So being part of a group wasn't always that lucrative for a private dentist. But then when the Dentex model came around, where they actually gave partnership shares to the exiting dentists to become part of the group, to help drive the group forward and keep autonomy of the practice, that is what really got me thinking. And that's one of the reasons why we then sold the practice to this group and still kept shares in the top go, so that we all work together for a bigger business. And that is something that I don't think it will ever be repeated. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You know, we often talk about alignment between an investor or buyer, and, you know, what we're talking about, I guess, is a roll-up, right, where you go and acquire a whole bunch of businesses, roll them up, and the theory is you kind of cut out all the unnecessary costs and create efficiencies and more profits for the investors. But I think what you're talking about here is it was a recognition for this kind of business to succeed is you had to keep the dentists invested, you know, and I think that's kind of what happened here is you were still incentivized to think of the new roll-up business as your own practice. And the more you put in, the more you got out, which is really, really important. You know, and I guess one of the challenges when it comes to preparing a business for exit, which I guess you went through, is a so-called owner dependency.
Yes.
And I want to dive a little bit into that, you know, particularly in a service business, of which, you know, you are the specialist performing the services. Yeah. How did you guys think about this? How did you go about continue to be involved in the business, but also recognizing that you're part of something bigger? You know, did it change the way you went to work every day? Did you need to think more strategically? You know, how did that all come together?
Yes, no, that's very interesting. You know, one of the lessons that I had to learn in that whole process was to spend less time in the business and spend more time on the business.
Yeah.
So the mindset was, that had to change was that the more I sit in the practice and I do work and I see more patients and I get on with it, the more the practice would grow, but it's not. The time that you spend away from the business and actually strategizing, looking at where the areas of strength and weaknesses are and putting that together with a very good team, that is when you can actually step away from the business over time and see that all the hard work that you've done is actually, going forward.
Yeah.
But the old dental mindset of just, drilling and filling and doing as much as you can and getting the money in, that is not the way to grow a business.
So basically you're saying you didn't have a sadistic mindset that you just wanted to put people through pain and torture.
No, no, not at all. I mean, there's a place for everything in dentistry, but strategizing and working on the business instead of in the business all the time is very important.
Yeah, and I think the beauty as well, I mean, I know you've got a deep passion for connecting with people and engaging your clients. I guess as a dentist, it's one of those awkward things where you always go and the dentist is talking to you and you've got these kind of things in your mouth so you can't respond. I mean, that's a sort of stereotypical thing. But the reality is you've got a relationship with your clients, you connect with them, and to see somebody perhaps who comes in who's not able to smile and just see the joy in their face when they can walk out with that sense of confidence. I mean, you were still able to retain, even though you were spending more time working on the business.
Yes.
You were also still able to maintain that connection with your clients and still be involved in the practice as a practitioner, right?
Yeah.
I guess about getting that balance right.
Yeah, correct. And as you go along that journey, you are able to choose what type of treatments you really like, what you're really good at, and then perform that on a selective basis to the patients.
Yeah.
We can't, as much as we try, we can't be everything to everybody. You have to see what is the niche, what really makes you tick. And then if you've got passion about that, then you'll do a really good job for your patients. But that also allows you then the things that you enjoy less, and maybe someone else has got more expertise in that, to get that person in to do those type of treatments so that the business can still give everything to everybody, but not necessarily
not doing it at all.
Correct.
Yeah. So we've spoken a bit about the practice and where you've gotten to now, and it's been quite a journey in and of itself. But it doesn't stop there. Okay, so I guess you're getting like me. We're getting to that age where there's a wonderful book that I think was called Halftime, where they talk from success to significance. And you're only getting started in terms of what you want to accomplish in the dentistry space. And this goes beyond what most people think about when they think about dentistry. Can you share a little bit with our listeners what you're working on at the moment? And perhaps I should say, maybe you should have been an audiologist because it's called Project Echo.
Yes.
Codename Echo. So would you mind sharing a bit about what your next plans are?
Yes, I mean, I've been thinking about and working on something for many years now, and it came to a point in COVID times where we realized that in dentistry we've got lots and lots of information. We've got lots of information about our businesses, and we've got lots of information about our clients, and that data is got a very high volume, but it's got a very high veracity as well, which means it's basically all over the place.
Yeah.
So we've got different systems, management systems in the practices. We've got different recording of clinical data, different recording of business data, and each practice almost uses a different system. And when it came to us being in a group, and when it came to a few, common thinkers coming together and said, let's compare what we have business-wise, we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And let's help a patient in one location, which is part of the group, and we can't because our systems don't speak to each other.
Yeah.
And the market basically started to pull out of us that we need a unified source of truth.
Yeah.
We need to be able to go into one place and find that data, even if it's just from a business intelligence point of view.
Sure.
We can't run our business efficiently if the data is all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's where Echo started and thinking, how can we do that? And we've progressed to be able to see, but there is actually a way to get that information out, put it in an umbrella source, but keep the dentists and everyone that's been working so hard for the patients doing what they're doing. And that is the concept of where Echo is going.
So the premise is about taking dental data, which is disparate. I guess in the sort of world of AI and data, and that is pulling that all together to make better decisions around how to treat patients. And one would think that stuff would already be there, but it's not. So you've moved from not only being a dentist, you a private equity player doing doing the roll-up deal. But that experience, I guess, as you say, they all came together, sort of sitting, working on the business rather than in the business, allowed you to kind of identify this massive problem.
Yes.
And then the opportunity, so now you can add to your already impressive CV one of startup founder. Okay. So as we all know, being a founder of a business is challenging.
Yes.
So how do you balance running an existing practice and being part of a roll-up group with being a startup founder for a new venture?
The short answer is I don't know. I mean, it's you just have to go with it. You know, I've got certain ambitions still with the practice, and I love my patients, so I spend a lot of time with them. But I do also then in previously where I had maybe a little bit of free time.
Mm.
I completely focus on Echo now, and in a way, it's helped me that I've got quite a very good team around me that is thinking the same way as me, and that's putting time and effort in Echo, so that I don't have to do all the work again. That's the lesson I learned building the dental business. You can't do everything. Get people like a good rugby coach. He doesn't do all the coaching. So, people that think the same and wants to build something big, it's got the same vision. It helps as a founder to have that around you. Because that energy and that drive needs to be channeled right. Otherwise, you'll burn out.
It's not enough just having an idea and even being able to execute that idea. You need people who can support you in that journey. And I mean, obviously, it's early stages, and you can't talk about everybody who's involved. But I mean, are there any particular, people or thinking partners or mentors that you kind of want to call out or shout out without risk of offending anyone else? Or maybe you can just talk in general terms.
Yes.
Who do you lean into to kind of help you along this journey?
Yes, no, I mean, I've got, various mentors that's, been with me for many, many years and in the dental space and outside the dental space. And things, like you mentioned, the startup journey. So people have joined me that has already been through that journey.
Yeah.
So, I don't know the exact percentage, but most startups fail. And if you have somebody on your side that's been there and done that, whether it's been successful or not, if it's been successful, great, they can mentor. If it's actually been not, they know this is what we've done wrong previously.
Yeah.
And we move into a space where the jobs are delegated. Everyone is working for the same point, but it's very important to keep those relationships going all the time.
100%. I think just to talk about startups failing, I think they did a study where they said that they're more successful proportionate startup founders in their 40s than they are in their 20s, right? And I suppose when you get to the sort of age that we are, right, you kind of have a little bit more experience, you maybe a little bit less ego and all those good things, so maybe more prone to actually ask for help and build that support structure around you. It's really, really critical.
Yeah.
So Eben, you've just started in this journey into Echo. And, I guess the last question to you is, you sort of, 12 months in, maybe a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
What have been your biggest learnings so far? You can share in terms of any other aspiring entrepreneur. You've touched on some of them already, but I mean, one or two other points that you said, look, somebody who's sitting there, they've got an idea, they want to do something. What advice would you give to them?
I mean, the biggest thing that I've learned and had to change quickly is to look after yourself as well. It sometimes sounds like a cliche, but you can get so focused and so obsessed with where you want to go that you might lose focus on other parts of your life.
Yeah.
Your family life, your friends. I really had to make sure that I don't just cut off everyone around me and go for the goal, because when things might go through a dip, you still need that support network around you to make sure to comfort you and build the relationship and keep going.
Yeah.
If you ignore everyone around you, and if you ignore your own health and your fitness and your mental ability, then you've got nothing to fall out on. And I think this is what's keeping me going and making sure that I will get there, is to keep that support network outside of the startup, keep that going, because it can be all encompassing it can digest you very quickly if you're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just a couple of points out of that. I mean, focus as a founder is important.
Yes.
But the sort of toxic hustle culture of what you read in the papers around, you got to be this entrepreneur working 18-hour days. I mean, so some South African names which I won't mention.
Out of your mom's garage or something like that.
Exactly. I think that's not the way. It's actually about working smarter, not harder, to be intentional about that. Still playing golf on the weekends, still spending time with the family, and then being really focused and smart around how you allocate your time. And again, maybe it's got to do with stage of life. When you're a founder with a family, it's very different to being 23 years old and drinking Red Bulls at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? As a dentist, you're probably going to tell people not to drink Red Bull at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Caffeine sources as well, yes.
Exactly. Listen, Eben, it's been absolutely wonderful chatting. You've taken time out of your vacation in South Africa. The last time we met was in a cold and wet Weybridge. Now we're meeting in a cold and wet Cape Town, and I'll be over in London later in the year, so we'll probably meet again in a cold and wet London again.
Yes.
But, thank you for joining us. We're really just, following your journey with interest. And, any last words before we wrap up?
Yes, I mean, the as you said, the journey is only starting. And, I really appreciate the people that I've met on this journey, including yourself and everyone from bizval that's given me some insights, again, on people that's been there and done that. And helping me understand as a dentist as well. Although I'm commercially driven, it was very good for me to have the support from guys like you that know how the whole business is working. So thank you for that.
Fantastic, Eben. Thanks for being here, and we look forward to chatting again soon. And good luck on the next phase of your journey.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.